Welcome to this edition of Access Together. These shows are made possible through the combined efforts of Shelby County Schools and GHS-TV. The shows are hosted by the members of the community and utilize the staff and facilities of Germantown High School. If you would like to watch our live stream or get more information about these shows, log on to our website, ghstv.org. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the following presentation.
Welcome to Let's Talk Money. My name is Kelly Bolton. I'm thrilled you could tune in today as we discuss women in the workplace. And we're honored to have with us two very dynamic female business owners. They're going to share their insight and perspective. So please join me as we welcome Gwendolyn Tucker. She's managing partner of RIX International, and Lamenka Ivy. She's president of Ivy Mediation Consultation. And they share their insights and advice. So thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Yes, absolutely.
This is going to be a fun show, just us girls, right?
Yeah.
I know, and I love it. We're all in our navy black and pink, yes. So it's a shame it's not a Valentine's Day show. But gosh, your resumes are impressive. I would love to know about a little bit about each one of you so our guests can hear, and then about your businesses. So would you like to start, Lamenka?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So I got started with the Postal Service, U.S. Postal Service. I worked for them for like 19 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my last two roles were human resources roles. I was a labor relations specialist and then became an EEO specialist. And so I kind of branched out from there and was recruited from Nike. And
Really?
I was an employee relations specialist with Nike for about a year and a half. And then I started my own business.
That's great. And was that Nike here in the Memphis area?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
So from mail to tennis shoes,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I guess clothes too.
Yeah.
So what about you, Gwendolyn?
Well, actually, I'm not a native Memphian. I grew
Okay.
up in Northwest Florida. I graduated from the UWF, the University of West Florida, and my degree is in accounting. But even before I graduated college, I started with a paper company, Scott Paper. And then
Yes.
upon graduation, I started with St. Regis, that became Champion, and ultimately, in terms of how I got here to Memphis, was with International Paper. They acquired Champion Paper Company.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah, so that's how I got to Memphis. So about 25 years of my corporate career was in paper manufacturing. And then I left corporate and then joined RIX International,
Okay.
which is a human resource consulting firm, very similar to Lamenka's in terms of the HR arena. Mm-hmm. And so we've been doing that now since 2007. I joined my husband in business.
Oh, very good. Mm-hmm. And I know how y'all are kind of connected, but our audience probably doesn't. So would you like to share with us how y'all got connected?
Absolutely. I am actually the president of NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, and of the Memphis chapter. We are a chapter of the national NABO. And so actually I was joining the board and I met Lamenka and I asked Lamenka if she would be one of my board members and one of our board members. And so she's our treasurer on the NABO board and just a great contributor there. And I'm very, very thankful for that. But basically, NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, our mission is to propel women entrepreneurs into economic, social, and political spheres of power worldwide.
And that's important. You can't just focus on one aspect.
Absolutely. One of the things that we are focusing on is growing our women business owners so they can grow their businesses. And so that economic piece is very important to us because when you get economics, guess what? You get social and you get political.
Right. It's kind of it's very intertwined.
Absolutely.
You can't focus on one without the other.
Absolutely.
Well, Lamenka, what made you decide to start your own business? You're with these major organizations. Obviously, the Postal Service and Nike are, everyone knows them.
Yeah.
And then you jumped ship and said, I'm going to take a huge risk and start my own business. So what possessed you to jump off that cliff?
Well, actually, when I was with the Postal Service, it had gotten to a point where our Southeast area office, it actually closed. And in order to continue my growth in human resources, I would have had to move to Dallas, Texas. And at that time, that was just not an option for me.
Right.
And I was kind of looking for ways to get out. And it was like I was prompted to start a business, but I wanted to kind of stay in my comfort zone, and I did. And when I got the call or the email from Nike, I was like, whoa, this is an opportunity for me to leave the government sector and branch off into corporate. And
it's different, totally different.
Oh my goodness, it is like night and day, very different. And once there, I felt like I've gotten what I needed from there, and it was time to go.
What about you?
Actually, although my degree is in accounting, and I was an internal audit and auditor and CPA in Ohio, my love was in understanding how people could work well together. And so my last
it seemed like numbers. I mean, numbers have to work well together, right? So
they do.
Kind of trying to make a connection.
Right.
They do, but I had an enormous opportunity, an important opportunity within International Paper to be co-chair of the Chairman's Diversity Council, where we worked on initiatives to help engage and to retain people within the organization. And so that was a very important role, and I love that role and helping on the people aspect of it. And so I was able to take what I learned in corporate and to parlay that into what I'm doing now. And our goal is to help companies maximize return on investment in human capital, and that's our whole goal.
Yeah, because I think we sometimes don't quantify the benefit of human capital, intellectual capital, as well as financial capital.
Absolutely.
So that's important. And I know your husband's not with us, but you said he joined you. So what aspect does he kind of bring to the picture?
Well, actually, I joined him.
Oh, you joined him.
Yeah,
he's not here, so we're going to say he joined you. Right.
That's okay. Actually, he started the business in Indiana as an executive coaching firm. And then when I joined him in business, we added we have coaching, consulting, and training. And so part of a strength of mine is on the consulting side that I drew from my accounting days and audit days, and then the training side as well.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, we've got just maybe a minute more, and we're going to take a break, and then we're going to keep going. But what would you say if somebody pinned you down and said, what's the biggest difference in owning your own business and going to work every day for a Fortune 500 company? I know what I've got in my head.
Well, you get to plan your day, your week, your month. You decide what you can and can't do, will and won't do.
Yeah. You control your own destiny.
You absolutely
But
do.
you also control, or as much as you can, your own paycheck. You don't
Yes.
have that guaranteed
Right.
paycheck that's coming in every single
Exactly.
month. So I know, what about you? If I had to say one thing, what would it be?
One thing is, when you're working for a company, it's a company who has already built their brand, right? And when you launch your own company, you are actually establishing and building a brand that delivers time and time again. And so you're building that history, you're building that track record. And so you're going from a known quantity to a lesser known quantity. And the opportunity and the challenge is, how do you begin to put a stake in the sand and
Right.
make a brand that people will come back to again and again?
Yeah, that's all on you, because other things like companies you mentioned are household names and where you had been before. We're going to pause, take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to resume our discussion about female entrepreneurship. So please stick around.
Of year when the bargains come to you. Germantown High School Television's Auction 2018, right here on GHS-TV.org. Bid on great items like theater tickets, restaurant gift certificates, artist prints, and much more. Online bidding begins April 14th, and be sure to tune into the live broadcast hosted by members of the community, alumni, and students. Saturday, April 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. on GHS-TV.org. All proceeds benefit GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student TV station. Bid online and don't miss your chance to win.
Hello and welcome to Cable Quiz. the academic.
Do you know how incredible it is to work at a TV station in high school?
GHS-TV is a student-run television station.
There's so many things you can do here at GHS-TV. You can be in front or behind the camera or both. You have that opportunity. There are no limits.
Well, we have sports and we have news and we have entertainment. So the students here get a well-rounded view of what it's like to be in the TV field.
It's my life. It's what I want to do.
From all of us here at GHS-TV, thanks for starting your morning with us. For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Money. If you're just tuning in, I'm Kelly Bolton, and today we've been discussing what it takes to manage a thriving business. Please join me as we welcome back Gwendolyn Tucker, Managing Partner of RIX International, and Lamenka Ivy, President of Ivy Mediation Consultation. So, thank y'all. Right before we took a break, we were talking about the big difference in owning your own business versus being part of a larger organization already established. And I think what you said was terrific. You know, it's really about being able to control your own time and control your own destiny. And then you pointed out, which I think was really wise, that you got to make the brand. When you have a company with millions and millions of dollars behind advertising for a brand, you making the brand becomes critical. So if I was guessing, I would think one of the best ways to build the brand is word of mouth. Deliver good products and services that people recognize in the marketplace as valuable, because you don't have the millions and millions of dollars as a Fortune 500 company would do to advertise your brand. So, I mean, is that kind of, I mean, I know I'm missing some stuff, but what all do you do to create the brand?
Part of it is in getting out in front of people, but also delivering, because when you deliver a solution that works, guess what? You don't have to tell people that it works. Other people will say that it works. And so when you can get recommendations from people with whom you've worked and they've been very pleased with the outcome and they can quantify the outcome, then they can begin to tell others and share with others. So when a problem comes up, they can say, hey, look, this is someone who helped us, and they can help you. Why don't you talk with them?
It's social advertising. I mean, it's word of mouth. I mean, I hate to say this, but I know it used to be years ago we all watched commercials. I can't tell you the last commercial I saw because I fast forward.
Yes.
But if you're on your social media sites, now they're being inundated with flashes through social media of information or some type of advertising, but more than anything, I see that I hear things through word of mouth. Like, I love your jacket, where did you get it? Or, I have a problem with this, where would you go to do it? It just seems to be much more collaboratively engaging with other people to find solutions more than just advertising. I know for big brands, I'm sure it's different. So would you add anything else to that about creating the brand?
Yeah, for me, it's, I agree with what Gwendolyn said, but also, in addition to that, it's building relationships. I love building relationships because when you make someone feel good, that too helps them to say, hey, you need to call her.
Yeah. When you make somebody feel good about themselves, they like you. What's that thing they used to say when you're meeting somebody for the first time? If they do all the talking, they're going to leave loving you because you let them tell about themselves.
Right.
So and we were also talking about human capital and how you, I think the way you put it is, you know, measuring the impact of human capital. Talk about that a little bit, because it seems to me very underestimated.
One of the things that we focus on is maximizing the return on investment in human capital. And what I was saying is that when people don't get along, like with Lamenka, she does mediation. She's a mediator, and so when there's conflict and we're not working towards a common goal, but we are fighting each other, that means we're losing money. And so every day that I'm not getting along and working on the goal, guess what? We're losing money. And every day that I'm sitting on the bench and I'm not engaged, guess what? We are losing money. And so even though I might be physically there, but I am not there and engaged and working towards a goal, guess what? we're losing money.
So it's maximizing human capital in that if they're there 8 hours, you want to get 8 hours worth of work and not have a big chunk of that downtime because the conflict issues or that need to be resolved. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what do you do, Lamenka, to do conflict resolution and mediation, and where do you step in? Maybe you could give us an example of where your services would be used in that regard.
Right. So I basically am a Rule 31 listed mediator, where I can do civil matters, I can do family matters, and I also have a designation in domestic violence issues. Well, where I come in, especially in the workplace, is when I say, when you see something brewing, you catch it early on. Don't allow it to fester. You want to pull the people in immediately to try to get a resolution. And what I love about mediation is the parties, they actually decide what the outcome will be, versus going to litigation where there's a judge that's going to tell you what you're going to do. To me, it works better if I'm deciding what the outcome will be, because I'm more likely to do it if I had input in that. And so in
you
the
took
work,
ownership in it. You're part of the solution. Yes.
Exactly. So the first thing I want to see when I'm working with a client is, do you have an employee handbook? I want to look at your employee handbook, because a lot of times people are in business, especially small businesses, and they don't update the handbooks. They keep them the same, and things have changed a lot since the 80s. So you want to make sure that you are being compliant. So.
Right. And then does anybody really read an employee handbook, though?
When there's a problem.
When there's an issue,
that's
they
when they
pull
go
the
to
employee handbook. But believe it or not,
and that's when you realize it was written in the 80s and it hadn't been
right,
updated.
like this,
right?
You need to update this. But believe it or not, more government sector employers, those employees read the employee handbook, because most of them are unionized, and they know, because it's mainly a contract, a CBA. They read it, because anytime a management official misses something, they are on it. So they actually read that employee handbook.
So do you go in and help them redesign a handbook? Like, what could be something? I'm sure in the 80s we weren't as big on diversity and inclusion. So I can only imagine that in the 80s there could have been things that were not today what's considered politically correct, or or maybe not as supportive or inclusive, or that sort of thing. I don't know, maybe, is there an example of something you might have found in the 80s that today you'd go, oh no, that really does need to change?
I think you said it best. The diversity piece. It was not a big deal in the 80s. It was not, but now there's more focus, and there's more focus around equal pay, whereas it was not in the 80s. And there's also more focus around defining what discrimination regarding sex.
Right. Exactly. And with all the movements going on now, it's even more brought into the light. So we're going to take just another short break, and when we return, we're going to finish up our lively discussion. So please stick around.
It's the one time of year when the bargains come to you. Germantown High School Television's Auction 2018, right here on GHS-TV.org. Bid on great items like theater tickets, restaurant gift certificates, artist prints, and much more. Online bidding begins April 14th, and be sure to tune into the live broadcast hosted by members of the community, alumni, and students. Saturday, April 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. on GHS-TV.org. All proceeds benefit GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student TV station. Bid online and don't miss your chance to win.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Money. If you're just tuning in, I'm Kelly Bolton, and today we've been discussing what it takes to manage a thriving business. So please join me in welcoming back Ms. Gwendolyn Tucker, Managing Partner of RIX International, and Lamenka Ivy, President of Ivy Mediation Consultation. So thank you. I know the time goes by quickly, and I've got so many questions. We were talking about, times have changed, and then during the break we were talking a little bit about employee productivity. And I think it's very interesting how there are some people that seem to be able to get a lot more work done in the same amount of time. And others, as much as you try or push, don't seem to ever be able to be as productive. And then you see those people that are more productive end up getting more and more work because they're able to do more. So then it seems like an imbalance of workflow, yet person A might be being lazy, or they might just not be able to be as productive. So I'd love for one of you to comment on how do you get the best out of employees? How can you get the most human capital or work capital, however you might describe it, out of an employee in the workplace without pushing them too hard?
I believe that it comes down to leadership. We have developed some leadership development materials around leader who leads. And oftentimes the leader is the one who sets the stage and set the tone. And it says, there's a quote that says, what shows up in the leader also shows up in the people. So part of it begins with leadership and setting the tone around a common vision, mission, and set of core values that flow out of, some strategic objectives flow out of that. I'm a really big proponent of effective performance management and not waiting until the end of the year to say this is how you did, but to start at the beginning of the year to say this is what we expect, and then to be able to get feedback along the way.
Measure
so
the
that,
goals along the way.
Absolutely. So we have very smart goals set out initially, and then we monitor progress along the way so that I don't get to the end of the performance year and I find I didn't meet the goal and I really didn't know what the goal was. So part of it is really accountability. And I really believe it also is rooted in having strong leadership. Lamenka, what are your thoughts around that?
I was going to actually mirror what you said about accountability. I think that's really, really important. And also another thing that I would add is employee engagement. Because sometimes, like you said, you have some workers who may get 2 hours of work done in 1 hour, and then you have others 5 minutes, 8 hours. And the one who is getting the work done quicker may get more work, but then they may just get bored. It's like, okay, waiting for something else to happen. So there has to be a balance where you find a way to keep them engaged. And the same routine every day, sometimes people get bored with that. And I'm one of those people. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I try to help my clients find ways to keep employees engaged.
And then what do you do to reward the behavior? Because it seems to me, not to relate humans to a dog, but was it Pavlov's dog? That you reward behavior. If you reward behavior, I don't even know where that came from. Some class I must have had in middle school that there was a rewarding the behavior of a dog, train the dog in the way to behave. Not that humans are that way, but if you incent behavior, then and reward behavior and appreciate behavior, then you instill the behavior. And it seems to me, and then people want to perform because they know that they're appreciated. But if you don't feel appreciated, or you don't feel rewarded or recognized, then you don't want to perform because you think, why should I? Nobody cares. Do y'all put programs in place or recommend to your clients to create some type of reward or recognition system?
Yes.
You want to go first, and then I'll share.
I just try to encourage them to give them something to look forward to. Every now and then you may have an employee appreciation day where everybody is celebrated, and then you have your stars, the ones who have just really gone above and beyond the call of duty. You want to recognize them some type of way. And that's really the main thing, is doing something it goes back to employee engagement, keeping them engaged, doing something where they are looking forward to. Goes back to school. Perfect attendance. You look forward to that. We used to look forward to the ribbon that you would receive, or that certificate that you would for perfect
something
attendance.
that says I did this, right?
I did it. Yeah.
I think that's very true.
Right.
What about you? What is
I
your
really,
experience?
in my corporate career and even now, a lot of times we think that rewards are all monetary,
And they're
but some of the
not.
best rewards are non-monetary. One of the things that I used in one of my corporate roles, it was called a pat on the back card. And so when you caught someone doing great and performing well, what you did, you gave them a pat on, I caught you doing well, and you would write what that was.
Isn't that
And it
neat?
was amazing because there were some people, they would put it up on in their cubicle or at their desk, and they were very proud of that. I also believe just a thank you
That's a
and
great idea,
acknowledging,
yeah.
hey, you did a great job on that report. Hey, I really appreciate your meeting that deadline. That really helped me out because then I didn't have to press and I was able to meet my deadline.
Right.
And so I think there are non-monetary ways that we can help reward people and incent them to let them know that we appreciate them.
Yeah, because it seems to me, I think we're in a society where if you read reviews online and you look for anything, you see the negative stuff. Nobody really takes time anymore to say, job well done. Great. You might see 5 negative things for 1 positive because when you're angry, when something doesn't go your way, everyone speaks out. But if it goes well, you just move on and don't take time to say thank you. So I think that's really great. Well, and Lamenka, I know you said you do a lot of disputes and mediation.
Yes.
Could you give us an example of like where you might step in if there was a dispute or a need for mediation in the workplace and how somebody would engage you?
Yes. So, for instance, just had a situation yesterday where 2 employees had a verbal altercation. So there was a disagreement about work, and the director called me to come and speak with them. And so it was kind of like a mediation. It was informally done, but I wanted to bring both of them together to find out, to get to the root of what is.
She put them both in the same room.
I did.
Brave.
I did. Yeah, because the director was like, "Are you putting them in the same room?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Yes, I am," because I need to understand why this is happening
And
so that we can
that's
get
really
it resolved.
good.
Yes.
I mean, because sometimes you just get one side and they don't get to point and counterpoint. Yes.
I wanted them to be face to face, and I wanted them to
Absolutely.
be. I was in the middle. Make sure I was in the middle.
Yeah.
And by the door. Mediators, we always take the seat by the door.
Right.
But situations like that, where there, and then you have a lot of situations where there may be an employee who's dissatisfied with something a management official done. Those are situations where you would bring a mediator in as well.
Well, that's great. Well, I have about 100 more questions and we've got to stop. So we're going to definitely do this again. I want to thank our guests, Lamenka and Gwendolyn, for being with us today, and I hope you've enjoyed tuning in. For more information on our show, you can check us out on the web at GHS-TV.org. We're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Please join us again next month on Let's Talk Money as we continue to explore thriving Memphis business community. Thank you.